Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is about 4 o'clock, so maybe still afternoon, I guess. And we are here in Washington Heights, Inwood, specifically at the Cloisters, which is a beautiful, beautiful view all the way up top here. We are up in the mountains, and of course, today we are joined by none other than the Javelin. Now, today I'm going to be trying something different. This is going to be a one-take video, hopefully, at least. I'm going to try my best not to ramble because a lot has changed. Now, first big thing on the list is that you've noticed that I haven't posted any videos in quite some time, and there's a lot of reasons for that. 1, I got a new job. 2, I have some very serious changes going on in my family. 3 is also that there have been some very serious changes going on in the e-bike community. Some people have come and gone. Other people are getting a lot more involved in other ways. So really, really great things going on. And another really huge thing is that we now have a community workshop. That's exactly right, ladies and gentlemen. We have rented out a garage in Astoria, Queens, and it is open to people who would like to work on their own bike in a safe and secure environment, out of the cold, rain, and hopefully at a more centralized location for everybody to get to. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of work that we need to do in order to get the garage up and running, and the Javelin being in its prototype phase is a big reason why we need the garage up and running. There are always things that need to be worked on. For example, I had a flat tire about a month ago, and it was a terrible, terrible situation. It was just, these tires are so hard to work with because they're full motorcycle tires, and also I just don't have a lot of experience with that. With that being said, the Javelin prototype version 3, I guess we can say. I've had one early on. Then after some time I had a second one that was fantastic. The second one was a huge upgrade from the first one, and now we are here on version 3. And believe it or not, by the time you see this video, there are already people who have purchased and received their own Javelins. Other really cool thing to say is that this prototype here was heavily inspired by a lot of the critiques and stuff that I've given Matt over the time that I've gotten to prototype with the Bandit as well. For instance, the handlebars, the clip-on handlebars being at this height was something that he did for me. The headlight was something that we also kind of spoke about, and then he actually made come true. I personally really like this front fender. He did that as a prototype just to see how it looks, and he doesn't like it. Not everybody likes it. You know, I really think it suits the look. The folded aluminum paneling everywhere is really cool in my opinion, but this is called the Hooligan package. So anytime you see somebody with this, you can think of me out here in New York City riding on this prototype. Now, other things, the button panels were something that were heavily inspired by things that we learned on the Bandit. Matt was always really into analog switches. Eventually I got into the analog switch. Oh shit, that's a bee. Huh. I got into the analog switches, so if you've seen my Blue Angel, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, with this setup right now, the way that we have it is power to the lighting system, so you see the lights come to life. We have our mode option. So forward means that when you hold that secret button back here, when you twist the throttle while holding that button, you'll go in reverse. Flip this down, and then it becomes a cruise control button. I'll be honest, the cruise control is terrifying. It's not something that I enjoy, just because I like having full control over my bike, so I always keep this up. Then we have our speed mode. Up is, Then we have our speed mode. Up is normal mode, down is sport mode. Very, very big difference, but that is only because I tuned and swapped the controller that it originally comes with. It normally comes with a Fardriver, which is fantastic. Fardriver 72530. This is a 72530. So the next step up, really, really powerful controller, way more than this stock battery can handle. So we'll get to that. You might be asking, Mike, why do you have two different size tires? That is another thing that I can claim some kind of part in, only because I kept bothering Matt for a stronger motor. It's normally, the prototype was a 3 kilowatt. He wants to ship it with a 4 kilowatt, and I was telling him I need a 5 kilowatt minimum, and that is what we have on here. This thing has been taking some serious abuse from me. Something that Matt probably doesn't want me to tell you is that on the 3 kilowatt motor, I was pushing it so hard, and then as well as having the regen tuned really, really high, I ended up snapping the back axle on here, which was shocking to everybody involved. Yeah, snapping a rear axle is a very hard thing to do. I was not doing any jumps, but yeah, regen, really heavy throttling, and crazy potholes out here in New York City. So now the Javelin will come with a reinforced, extra thick rear axle, and I'm not exactly sure what motor he settled on. I know that we're still doing some testing. The swing arm is phenomenal. This swing arm and suspension setup is heavily inspired by the swing arm that went onto my Bandit. So my Bandit that was being worked on for many, many years, the swing arm that we put on it, the custom swing arm, eventually led to what we see here. Oh shit. What is this? That doesn't look good. Anyway, we're noticing problems as we pull over. Yeah, well, that's that. The swing arm is holding up great, nice and thick. These torque arms back here were a prototype as well. They look very different now, as well as the brake mount. As you can see, mine is just a really rough cut piece of steel, but it all works great. The brake line is that really nice braided hose for the front. Sorry, for the rear. And then for the front, we have this other style brake with this cool reservoir. And if you notice, you can also hear these lights have active cooling. They get very, very hot. Oh no! Aw, did I lose the nut? Well, I couldn't have lost it. It's back there, but shit. Yeah, this bike is really taking a beating, man. I probably put 2,000 miles on this thing, minimum. Minimum, definitely. And I have at least 3,000 or 4,000 miles on the other two bikes. But I'm talking highway riding. Real highway rides. Look at that car. Very cool. That's exactly right, ladies and gentlemen. I've been on the highway with this thing going very fast. How fast? Well, this particular model, I got to go 73 miles an hour. Shout out to Super 73 group ride. They gave me that cool magnet, which actually sticks really well on these sheet metal panels out here. So, talking about the things that are great for it, the stability is fantastic. I would prefer if I had front and back matching tires. I don't know if that would do anything for the speed though. Same thing for the rear shock. These are a little too long, so at high speeds it's easy to get that wobble, and when you get that wobble it can get pretty bad pretty fast. But as you all know, I'm a very experienced rider, so I am doing really well so far. The brakes are phenomenal. I love the brakes. The brakes are the best part of the Javelin, 100%. Matt is just the MVP because at the reveal party for this thing, my annoying ass raised my hand and in front of everybody said, "So when can we expect to have rear brakes as the moto brakes? I see that you put them on the front, but not the back." And Matt's face was one of, damn, now I have to do it. And later on, he told me that's exactly how he felt. So of course, I got the very first prototype of it on this bike here, and man, it was phenomenal. Really, really big improvement. Gives you so much more confidence. Makes a really, really big difference. The massive brake levers are pretty good. There's not a ton of, you know, dead play to them. They engage, and when they engage well. The display is not the final display, nor is the display is not the final display, but the physical shape of it is. If you're gonna get the one with the CarPlay, it'll look about the same. It'll be touchscreen, and it's really awesome. I don't personally have that on here, and I'm not missing it, but when I get it, I will be happy to use it. Other things. Well, first of all, the seat. Are we good? Are we done with all the positives? I mean, fuck, this thing is so beautiful. It's unique, gets me so many questions. Everybody stops and asks me questions. But going on to the things that aren't that great, besides having sharp metal corners, which is part of the prototypeness, the seat is not all it's chalked up to be. If you see here, the seat actually has that mechanism inside of it, and it just doesn't work. It does not work. It stays bouncing all over the place. So when I'm riding, I hit bumps, and you hear that. It's terrible. It's really, really annoying. Other things rattle around inside of it. If you look inside here, there's absolutely nothing holding the battery in place. So it has tons of room to move around. This thing moves around and makes more sound. So between just that alone, we got tons of sound. The front fender was something that he told me would make sound, but it actually doesn't. If I run over like cobblestone, then I'll get some sort of resonance somewhere inside the vehicle, not really sure where. But yeah, that's about the worst of it. Honestly, the bike is fantastic. It makes a ton of sounds though. I think the front brakes make sound. So overall, there's a lot of really good things to love about the bike. The side panels I didn't customize at all. Believe it or not, I think this is probably the bike I've done the least amount of customizations to. Mostly just riding and not worrying about it, you know? Couple of things to point out. The horn is not the final horn design or placement. This is like version 3 of a different horn that I've put on here. This one's the worst by far. It was like $9 at AutoZone. Fucking sucks. This bottom plate down here, you'll see those 4 screws on there, right? I was riding to an Electric Wednesday event, and the front 2 just came completely out, backed out all the way. So this thing was hanging down. My controller was completely exposed, and yeah, I had to replace those. I reached out to Matt, and within a week, he was already on it. He has a whole brand new design of how this thing mounts. And of course, not only is it smoother, safer, it's just way easier for them on the production side. Speaking of production side, as far as wiring and harnesses go, Matt has been doing some phenomenally impressive work with the team, creating new harnesses that will not only make the production time way faster, but will also be something that you can use on your bike at home. So horn, headlight, tail light, active brake light, all of that. Check it out, sparkcycleworks.com. I don't think I finished talking about the seat. Matt redesigned the seat. Totally. This is the old version. This is not what you will get. So, this little dead space over here is only because the seat has to rise up. So, this is going to be gone. If you saw in the first prototype, this was a really ugly spot. This is the nicer version of it, but now the seats are going to come backward. They're going to be so much nicer, and of course you can get the custom Tapia seat to however you like. Really easy to swap these buttons around. You can also get some different functionality down the line when Matt has the time to program that kind of stuff. Of course, you can customize so many other things. The color options are literally endless. Go on to prismaticpaints.com, or I think it's Prismatic Powders, and you can get powder coating options. You can get sparkles. The pegs is another thing, another example of Matt listening to the people. I am very happy with the fact that it doesn't have pedals, but to other people that's a deal breaker. If you come down here and look at these early prototype pegs, you'll see that they work. I knocked the spring out quite early on in the game, so they don't pop back down. But with just 4 bolts down there, you can pop this whole assembly off, screw on pedals. They have a pedal kit already. Does it function? I don't know yet. I really don't know. I think that there's still an early prototype phase, but these things work. They work. If I could have it lower and further, I would be a little happier, because I'm a taller rider. I'm about 5'11", and yeah, it's definitely a bit of a squeeze. My knees are all the way up here. All right, something funny that I did one time is I put my phone down here, got on the bike, and because my knees were holding it in on both sides, I was able to ride miles and my phone stayed there. So shout out to Spark Cycleworks. I am having such a blast riding this thing. Another shout out to Matt for always listening to what the people say, and just one other huge thanks to the Spark Cycleworks team. They have had me riding on a bike that people are dying for, man. This thing is phenomenal. I'm so honored to be the test pilot for this. It has been so great showing it off to people, letting them test ride it, getting their feedback, going back to Matt, knowing damn well that they're gonna get that feedback into something productive. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you ride safe out there. Always wear a helmet. Wear your gear if you're gonna be going out fast. When you're at the group ride, have some respect for yourself and others and the people around you. And we hope to see you at the next Electric Wednesday.